This is the story of Danita Smith, a 25-year-old with a bright future ahead of her, who was on the cusp of achieving her dreams, a fellowship at the prestigious New York Times, a recent engagement to her partner of 6 years, and a life filled with success. But fate had other plans. In 2007, just days after their engagement, Danita's life took a tragic turn. She was ruthlessly shot, execution style, in a manner that would leave detectives perplexed and the community in shock. But who would want Danita dead, a woman who by all accounts was kind to everyone and had no enemies? Welcome to Viral Crimes. Subscribe and hit the bell icon for more stories. This story takes us to Durham, North Carolina. Danita had completed 6 years of her undergraduate education and was now pursuing a master's degree at North Carolina Central University. She envisioned a bright future for herself and was driven by ambition. She had obtained a fellowship with the New York Times due to her outstanding work in the fields of journalism and photography. Her private life seemed to be wonderful as well. Her boyfriend Jamir Stroud had asked her to marry him recently, and she had accepted his proposal. They began dating after meeting in college and did so for a total of 6 years. Danita remained in Durham after graduation to continue her education, while Jamir relocated to Greensboro to begin his career as a police officer. Despite the fact that Jamir was absent, the couple continued to be romantically involved. At 10 o'clock in the morning on the 4th of January, Corey Smith, a resident of Campus Crossings, exited his apartment in order to make his way to work. He saw a lot of personal items strewn down the staircase, and at the bottom of the stairs, he noticed a female. Because she was laying in such a manner, he thought that she must have fallen down the steps. Or he saw that the lady was not breathing, so he dialed 911 and after looking at the woman's belongings, provided the woman's name to police. She was identified as Danita Smith. Sadly, when police arrived, they pronounced Danita dead. She had been shot in the head. Police received another call around the same time. Michael Hedgepeth, who works as the maintenance director at the Campus Crossings Apartments in Durham, reported hearing a gunshot around 8:10 in the morning. He saw a lady frantically making her way from the 1100 building at the complex's rear to its entrance. He went up to her to inquire about her well-being. She was sobbing uncontrollably. He inquired as to whether or not she had heard the gunfire, and she confirmed that she had. She confessed to him that she had a fear of firearms. Michael called 911, but when officers arrived at the location, they decided not to document the complaint since they were unable to determine where the shot had originated, and the lady Michael had been speaking to was already gone. He gave a description of the lady as a tall black woman, around 5 feet 10 inches in height, with a ponytail. He also said that she was driving a burgundy SUV.
Investigators are working through the weekend on the case of a North Carolina Central student. A graduate student engaged to be married was shot and killed at her apartment complex. Aaron Coleman tells us friends are preparing tributes to Danita Smith.
The last article she wrote for the campus paper is still on the stands. Now its author is being remembered.
You see someone one day and the next day they're gone, it's awful.
Dr. Bruce DePeisler knew Danita Smith well. He was her advisor at the Echo. Smith was a graduate student at NC Central. Her body was found Thursday morning at the bottom of a stairwell at her off-campus apartment.
People want to know, they want the details, and it's gone from bad to worse.
What witnesses first thought was an accident quickly turned to a murder investigation. Police say the 25-year-old was shot to death but aren't releasing many other details. Investigators want to talk to a woman seen driving away from the apartment complex that morning around 8:30, an hour and a half before a maintenance worker found Danita Smith's body.
We're all shocked. When we first found out, we were devastated.
Shelby Brown was a fellow writer at the paper.
Why? I think that's a big question right now is why.
Durham police say they're working on answering all the questions about what happened that day. In the meantime, friends choose to remember the good. Dozens are posting messages to a Facebook page dedicated to Danita Smith's memory, and the newspaper where she worked for so long will honor her in its next issue.
You have to learn from it. What's the lesson? The lesson is when you see a human being, be kind to him because you might never see him again.
Not only was she loved by her family, but she had another family, the Eagle family, the Campus Echo family that loved her as well.
Law enforcement broke the news to Jamir, who then spent the day with both his own family and Danita's family. Police inquired as to Jamir's whereabouts that morning. He said that since he had worked the night before, he was sound asleep in bed. He informed police that he knew a lady who drove a burgundy SUV when he learned that they were searching for a female who was driving one. He reported the woman to be Shannon Crawley, a single mother of two. Danita had never even met Shannon and had no idea who she was. Shannon was nonetheless aware of who Danita and Jamir were. In Greensboro, where Shannon resided, she was employed as a 911 dispatcher, and it was in the course of her employment that she was introduced to Jamir. Shannon didn't know that Jamir was dating Danita when they first met, so they started an affair. Jamir confirmed having an affair to the police, but he told them that it was over around a year before Danita was murdered. When the police questioned Jamir about a possible motive for Shannon's desire for Danita's death, he said that Shannon would not leave him alone after they broke up. She moved into a home in his community and joined the same church as him. Shannon was questioned by the police. She said that she had never met Danita and that the only time she had seen her was at church 2 weeks before Danita's death. She said that she may have only seen Danita's photo once or twice previously. Shannon said to the police that she did not possess a firearm when they questioned her about it. She said that she had to stay home from work on the morning of January 4 because her kid was ill, but she did report to her job later that day. When the police examined Shannon's SUV, they discovered that the steering wheel had gunshot residue on it. An individual who worked with Shannon contacted the authorities. He confessed to the police that he had sold Shannon a firearm. After being taken into custody, Shannon was charged with murder in the first degree.
Again tonight with breaking news out of Durham.
As we first reported on WRL.com, Durham police made an arrest in the murder of an NCCU graduate student.
Durham police arrested Shannon Crowley in Greensboro late this afternoon. We're told the 27-year-old is charged with the murder of NC Central University graduate student Denita Smith. Now, we just got video a few moments ago of the suspect being led into the police station. You can see Crowley is being escorted in cuffs and shackles into the police station. She kept her head down and made no comment. We're told that they made the arrest after searching her car and her house. We've also learned tonight that Crowley was an employee of the Guilford Metro 911 department, but we're told that she was suspended back on January 6th of this year after being named a person of interest in this case. Now, Smith, the victim, who was wrapping up her thesis and engaged to be married, was found dead on Friday. She was shot to death in the stairwell of her off-campus apartment here in Durham. Tonight, there is no word on the relationship between the suspect and the victim, and investigators will not discuss any motives at this time. However, they do say that it does not appear to be a random act of violence. The university did issue a statement this evening which reads, "What happened to Danita was unconscionable. She was an outstanding and promising young student whose life has been cut short. The arrest of a suspect will help us begin the healing process." Again, an arrest has been made in the Danita Smith murder case.
The prosecution said that Shannon had an unhealthy fixation with Jamir, which led to her stalking Danita out of jealousy. Shannon pled not guilty and went to trial. According to the testimony of State Bureau of Investigation Forensic Weapons Specialist Agent Scott Jones, the murder weapon was likely a .38 caliber revolver. Shannon claimed she didn't own a gun, but her co-worker, Ronald Simpson, testified that he sold Shannon a .38 caliber Taurus special revolver in October 2006. Odd in a lie, Shannon claimed that she tossed the gun and the ammo in separate trash dumpsters shortly after receiving them, but the police found neither item. It was revealed that Jamir owned 2 firearms, none of which matched the murder weapon. Examination of Shannon's phone records revealed that she made phone calls from the area of Durham near the campus crossing apartments both the day before and the day Danita was shot. The prosecution characterized Shannon as a vengeful person. To prove this, they presented evidence that on June 20, 2008, after Danita had passed away and Shannon was still out on bail, she reported to the police that Jamir had sexually assaulted her. She said that he came to her residence in Charlotte between the hours of 2:30 and 5:30 that morning and sexually assaulted her there. A detective in the assault unit of the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department testified that based on the alleged time of the rape and Jamir's cell phone records, he would have had to travel from Charlotte to Greensboro for work at approximately 120 miles per hour without stopping for red lights in order to have committed the rape. An examination of a rape kit yielded negative results for the presence of semen. There were no injuries to Shannon's vaginal canal or injuries that required stitches. Shannon claimed that during the assault, Jamir injured her with a knife. She told detectives that they need to check for the knife in Jamir's garbage can at his residence. Unbeknownst to Shannon, Jamir discovered a knife in his trash can and reported it to the police. Jamir's neighbors would testify that they observed a vehicle drive away from his garbage can, and another testified that she observed someone dump something into his trash can and then drive away. The prosecution presented hidden audio recordings to the jury before resting their case. Shannon claimed that the tapes contained Jamir admitting to the murder. The prosecution argued that the voice on the tape was not Jamir's and wanted the jury to hear the recordings to demonstrate the differences. They also wanted to highlight Shannon's history of deception and vengefulness towards Jamir to frame him for the crime. The defense argued that Shannon was innocent and that Jamir had been stalking her and was the actual murderer. Shannon's defense pleaded for her acquittal, but the prosecution urged the jury to consider the evidence rather than Shannon's testimony. After deliberation, the jury rejected Shannon's account and she was convicted of first-degree murder, receiving a life sentence without parole. Danita's mother expressed her lack of forgiveness and wished for Shannon to rot in hell. Danita's father was thankful for the guilty verdict, believing it was the right decision. Shannon's parents, on the other hand, maintained their belief in her innocence and accused Jamir of committing the crime. The judge acknowledged Shannon's conviction, but also criticized Jamir's actions, stating that he caused a perfect storm and walked away from it, which was unfortunate for everyone involved in the case. Shannon was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. What happened to Danita Smith was a tragedy. She was a promising 25-year-old with a future full of potential, and she was robbed of the life she was about to embark on. She was on a path paved with accomplishments, and that was cruelly snatched away. Shannon not only destroyed Danita's life as well as the lives of Danita's loved ones, but she also destroyed her own life, leaving her 2 kids without their mother. This heartbreaking tale serves as a reminder of the fragility of life and the devastating consequences that can arise from senseless acts of violence. My condolences to Danita's friends and family. May you continue to heal and one day find peace. Thanks for watching and I will see you in the next video.